G Worldwide. My name is Andrew Grigsby, and we are back at the King Project, and we're learning about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
And this is Sarah Grigsby, representing G-Unity Worldwide, and actually today we're going to be talking about Coretta Scott King. There are a lot of things we could talk about today, so I'm going to talk about a few topics, but we could do several days, so please bear with me. In addition to founding and running the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change in Atlanta, Coretta Scott King went on to lead the 18-year battle to institute a federal holiday in her husband's honor. This was finally signed in 1986 by then-President Ronald Reagan. Can you imagine 18 years? Ridiculous. Coretta Scott King carried on her husband's legacy of civil rights, but also went on to become a champion for women's rights, LGBT rights, economic equality, as well as world peace. In 1966, in New Lady magazine, while her husband was still living, Coretta said, "Not enough attention has been focused on the roles played by women in the struggle. By and large, men have formed the leadership in the civil rights struggle, but women have been the backbone of the whole civil rights movement." Ain't that the truth? In 1968, Coretta went on to say, "American women need to unite and form a solid block of women power to fight the three great evils of racism, poverty, and war." She was also very powerful in the anti-apartheid movement. In her ongoing work to end racism, Coretta Scott King participated in many anti-apartheid sit-ins throughout the 1980s, even getting arrested in an anti-apartheid protest in Washington, D.C. in 1985, along with her daughter Bernice and her son, Martin Luther King Jr., well, actually, the third, excuse me. After going to South Africa and meeting with Winnie Mandela in 1986, Coretta Scott King returned to the United States, urging Ronald Reagan to approve sanctions against South Africa. As far as LGBT rights, in 1983, Coretta Scott King urged the inclusion into the amendment of the Civil Rights Act to add gays and lesbians as a protected class. As reported in the New York Native, she expressed her solidarity with the LGBT movement, applauding gays and lesbians as having always been a part of the civil rights movement. In her 1998 speech at the Palmer House Hilton in Chicago, she called on the civil rights community to join to end the struggle of homophobia and anti-gay bias, saying, "Homophobia is like racism and anti-Semitism and other forms of bigotry in that it seeks to dehumanize a large group of people, to deny their humanity, their dignity, and personhood." At the 2003 13th Annual Creating Change Conference, Coretta Scott King went on to say, "I still hear people say that I should not be talking about the rights of lesbian and gay people, but I hasten to remind them that Martin Luther King said, 'Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.' I appeal to everyone who believes in Martin Luther King's dream to make room at the table for brotherhood and sisterhood for lesbian and gay people." My favorite quote in learning about Coretta Scott King was that Martin didn't make Coretta. When they met, she was prepared. I want to thank you for joining G-Unity Worldwide today. We're coming at you with projects on Martin Luther King Jr. all month long. Please join us, G-Unity Worldwide.